What's the one similarity between Formula One and NASCAR? We both race at Circuit of the Americas. I'm Matt Faulkner, and this is Overtime. This week on Overtime, we'll be talking a little bit about the differences between Formula One and NASCAR. The reason this is a hot topic this week is because Formula One and NASCAR both race at Circuit of the Americas. We both race at the same track. We've had some overlay in fans this week and thought we would take advantage of that to answer some questions and discuss the differences between the two series. The first difference we'd like to highlight between Formula One and NASCAR is the overall speed of the cars. Now, the biggest difference, or the biggest reason for the speed of the cars varying, is the rules package for each series. Now, Formula One cars and their governing rules allow them to shape the bodies with high aerodynamic efficiency. In other words, their bodies aren't required to be shaped like a production car. So, no doubt Formula One cars are faster than NASCAR cars. It's very impressive what they do and the speed they generate. But given the rules package of NASCAR and the fact that our bodies are shaped to resemble Toyota Camrys, Chevy Camaros, and Ford Mustangs, I think it's almost equally impressive the speeds that we're able to achieve given our cars are shaped like cars that you'd buy from your dealership. Another difference between Formula One and NASCAR that we'd like to highlight is the concept of team orders. Now in F1, a team order can be used to use teammate cars to hopefully influence the race to the benefit of their team, even if they do things like hold up other competitors, make it easy for a teammate to pass while they wouldn't make it easy for a competitor to pass.
And Sebastian will let you by next lap.
F1 cars are allowed to pit on the same lap if it benefits the team. And while NASCAR, we can pit on the same lap, we are not allowed to issue team orders that would cause one of our team cars to hold up a competitor or affect the race for another competitor. In fact, in the past when this has been done, there have been issued severe penalties. For example, if a car causes a wreck on purpose, Clint Boyer, or holds up another car, this is not allowed in NASCAR. NASCAR, we're supposed to let every car race for themselves as hard as they can without affecting the result for other competitors. Another difference between Formula One cars and NASCAR cars is the electronically actuated adjustments that Formula One cars can make. Now, NASCAR cars can adjust their brake bias in the car, as well as Formula One cars, but the things that Formula One cars can do beyond that are significant. For example, Formula One cars can adjust their motor tuning, they can adjust their suspension settings, they can activate a drag reduction system that allows their rear wing to fold down on the straightaways and make it easier for them to pass another car. They have buttons for pit road speed, like we talked about in another episode, that allow them to drive at exactly what the pit road speed is at a given track. So those are just some of the things that F1 cars that NASCAR cars don't do. It's not that NASCAR cars couldn't do it, it's just a product of our rules package. Spotters are another thing that NASCAR has that Formula One does not have. So at Circuit of the Americas this weekend, we actually required 3 spotters per car in the NASCAR race to be able to essentially spot the driver for safety reasons. The driver still has a rear view camera in the next gen car and rear view mirrors, but it's still difficult to see in the rear of the car or out the sides of the car due to the helmet and neck and head and neck restraints that the drivers wear. So to help with visibility, we have spotters in NASCAR. These spotters stand in different corners of the track and tell the driver when there's a car beside him, when he completes a pass, when he's clear. For the example, in turn 1, when he has 6 cars on either side of him on a restart. Things like that just to improve safety and help the driver understand when he's clear and when he's not, hopefully eliminate wrecks. On the other hand, F1 does not have spotters. They rely on their gut instinct and rear view mirrors to know when they're clear of someone or not. So if you've watched an F1 race recently, you've probably seen a couple of cars crash, and crashing's bad enough, but you'll see an F1 car back into another car or back into a barrier that he didn't realize was there because he was spun around and he can't see behind him. This is one advantage of having a spotter in NASCAR, is hopefully you can instruct your driver not to back in and cause further damage to their car. So those are just a few of the differences and similarities between Formula One and NASCAR. There's many others, and if you can think of any that we haven't mentioned, please put them in the comments below and we'll talk about them. I could think of a few more just off the top of my head. Tire compounds. Formula One has multiple tire compounds per weekend, while NASCAR just has one. Formula One has standing starts. You've seen the dramatic standing starts on the Netflix show, I'm sure, whereas NASCAR has rolling starts, which can also be plenty dramatic. Also, the series that F1 has. So F1, you'll have F1, F2, and F3, whereas NASCAR has a similar format of NASCAR Cup Series, NASCAR Xfinity Series, and the Truck Series. So there's a similarity I didn't think about before. Oh, but also budget. That's a huge difference between F1 and NASCAR. Formula One spends hundreds of millions of dollars compared to the tens of millions of dollars that NASCAR teams spend. And you can see this, I'm sure you've seen on the Formula One Netflix show, you see a successful guy like Gene Haas worried about money. That's why. It's hundreds of millions of dollars to run an F1 team. That's it for this edition of Overtime, reporting on the race from Circuit of the Americas this weekend, and we'll catch you next week.